What's different in the last couple months with a roster that hasn't changed a ton over the last few years, but they've seemed to find it again?
Yeah, I think in years past, we often talk about how, in a lot of ways, the Blue Jays felt like a little bit less than the sum of their parts, where you'd see the talent on the roster and you think, well, why isn't this team completely rolling? Certainly the way they were in 21 when they fell a game short of making the postseason but won 91 games, but never could kind of be a complete team. And this year, it's really the opposite, where they've really become more than the sum of their parts. And a couple weeks ago, Bo Bichette said to me that the Blue Jays this year, in his words, are a team unlike any team he's been a part of, and a team in a true sense of the word. And it's really been that because they are getting contributions up and down the roster. They are platooning their way through certain parts of the lineup to maximize matchups. They've got certainly some key star players who are helping carry the load in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Bo Bichette. On the pitching side, Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, and Chris Bassett are the anchors. But Eric Lauer is a minor league deal who's been a really a life raft for this team, especially in the early going when the pitching staff was a bit of a mess. And their bullpen, which was really a black hole last year, a negative WAR bullpen, which was, I believe, the only one in the majors a year ago. Certainly the worst in terms of WAR in the big leagues. And they've become a great positive now, led by Jeff Hoffman. Brendan Little, Yariel Rodriguez's emergence has been really important, with surprise contributions from some guys you might not have expected, in terms of Braden Fisher and Mason Fluharty. So they've really just drawn on every bit of the 40-man roster, and they are the embodiment of that cliche where teams every year say we need everybody, and they've really been an organization that's used everybody thus far.
My question for you, two questions. One is you've been there a long time. Just kind of explain, does it have that kind of, that feel that, maybe I had felt in 2015 when, things started getting rolling. You could kind of just feel that buzz in the stadium. You could feel the buzz outside of the stadium. The entire city kind of congregated around the stadium. The support around the team was unlike anything I'd ever felt. Or is it leaning towards that direction right now?
Yeah, it's really picked up, and it's kind of interesting if you think back to 2015, Kevin. And you'll for sure remember this well, but it felt like everybody was just waiting for the spark, and then the trade deadline happened, and that was the spark. And I think back to that first game after that Troy Tulowitzki played against the Phillies here, and just how electric that atmosphere was, and Blue Jays fans were so pumped about seeing Troy Tulowitzki in a Blue Jays uniform. Uh, that was to me one of the most memorable games that I'd covered, just because you could feel that shift and then it carried over. And I feel like it's been a bit of more of a slow burn to that point, because this team, since May 8th has been playing pretty well, and it just kept on, adding on more wins, and another good run, another good homestand, another good stretch. And all of a sudden, they're now within striking distance of the best record of the American League, with a four-game series in Detroit coming up. And people have just sort of picked up the pace a little bit slower, but it's getting to the similar levels in 2015. And so it's definitely been this team has definitely been embraced. They do it in a different way than maybe any Blue Jays team I can really remember. Maybe if you can go back to like the 1985 team when they were running some platoons, with uh, Rand Smolnick's Garth Orge at third base and Al Oliver and Cliff Johnson at designated hitter. They haven't really had a team like this in a while, but the the excitement around the club, the buzz, the energy, it's definitely there right now.
And then I want to ask you about George Springer too. I saw a video of him talking to David Schneider after a long at bat that, to many people, is a nothing. He made it out, but I think it was like a 14 pitch at bat, and then the Blue Jays scored with the next hitter, and he was in there pumping him up. Just how important has his leadership been? And obviously, he's playing a lot better this year, but that's a guy who's been there, done it. It's hard to talk about winning it when you haven't done it, and you have a guy like George Springer who's won it a couple times.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, the performance has been vital, right? Like, in April, when not a lot of guys on this team were hitting, George Springer was really the guy who carried this team for a stretch. And you think back to that performance he had against the Yankees during the 4-game sweep here in Toronto a few weeks back, and he's had a lot of just big games and big moments this year. But he's doing the behind the scenes stuff too, and whether that's just setting an example by the way that he's working, bringing his energy, the positivity. You're right. That moment, David Schneider, like everybody was talking about it after the game, right? And uh, just how much it invigorated the Blue Jays clubhouse dugout at that point in time, watching him grind and battle, and just seeing what they felt was the toll that it took on Rodon in that moment. And did it directly lead to the 2 errors that followed that led to 2 more runs? Maybe, but the fact is, you have an at bat like that, it takes a lot out of the opposition. And so, even though he just did pop out and made an out in that spot that was big, and I think the Blue Jays have spoken a lot about just recognizing moments, about playing for each other. And I think that George talking to Davis in that spot is really just a symbol of him recognizing, hey, you were doing something selfless there. You did something for the team, and that helped us out afterwards.
Trade deadline coming up for the Blue Jays. Just give me one thing you want. That's it. Just one. Quick, easy. Give me the biggest need for the Blue Jays at the trade deadline. And then I also want to know, have you ever climbed the CN Tower? That's it.
Okay. I have not climbed the CN Tower, but I would actually like to, but it's just never worked out with my schedule. In terms of need, if you had asked me this a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said starting pitcher. And maybe my lean might still be starting pitcher, but I think you can probably like not really have to twist my arm, and I could say like just load up on get an elite reliever type, someone who can go in and be reliable and leverage. And the reason for that is just you kept on thinking, okay, Jimmy Garcia is going to get back. Jimmy Garcia is going to get back, but he's going to see a specialist again on Wednesday. I guess that's tomorrow at this point, and they're going to try to figure out what's going on with the nerve issue in his elbow. When I talked to him yesterday, he said what he's feeling is worse than what he had last year, and what he had last year cost him the final 2 months of the season. So I think if Jimmy Garcia is not going to have a pathway to providing quality innings, I think maybe you take your chances on the rotation holding up, and maybe that Alek Manoah can come back and be a boost at some point later in the season, and make that your priority. Because I just think the way bullpens are, how important bullpens are in general, but particularly in the postseason. I think the Blue Jays wanted to get a starter and a reliever no matter what. But if you're only going to do one thing, I think right now loading up and getting the best reliever you possibly can might be a wiser course of action.
You know about the best place to buy, sell, trade, or look for that special card in your world. It's called Arena Club, and Eric Kratz just went through a little slab pack experience, and you went big. You went for the Ruby pack.
I love it. I love clicking on the Ruby pack and knowing that I'm going to open something that is going to be epic. I got a Cal Ripken Jr. autographed 1 of 42. I'm keeping it right now, but I would love to have it in my hand, so I might even have them send it to me. Already graded, everything taken care of for me.
That's right. You want to hang it up and stare at it all day, go for it. But if you're in there to get something else or to sell it away, you can do that. They've got the buyback program, or you can put it on the marketplace yourself. Tons of options. This is where the best cards live. It's arenaclub.com/foul, and use the code foul for 20% off your first slab pack, or if you'd like to purchase a card, 20% off your first card purchase. Again, arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL.